We bought two different types of broccoli. We're going to explain to you why you should be growing this variety and not this variety, and we're also going to show you how we put it in the freezer. Stay tuned. I started out with the Watham 29 broccoli that I grew from seed, and it just wasn't starting fast enough. Whenever I went to the feed store, I saw some of these hybrids available in bundles of started sets. So I went ahead and I picked up a bundle of them in hopes to get an early start ahead of the ones that I started from seed. And man, was I just simply amazed at the quality of the heads that came from these. Now I'm going to show you right here. I don't know the name of this variety. I really want to find out. I want to start growing them. As a matter of fact, I want to start saving the seeds. Even though they're hybrids, I'd like to do a land race and maybe retain some of the genetics from these big, beautiful heads of broccoli that we have here. And if you look down here, these are the plants that they're coming off of. These plants are real short. They're under 1 foot tall. The leaves come way out and way up around to protect the broccoli heads. Whereas the Watham 129s, this crown sits right on top of the plant and it's not protected by the broccoli. And so whenever you pull the leaves way back, you see these nice tight heads that are down in here. They grow nice and large. This is probably the best broccoli we have ever harvested. We went around this bed and harvested 5 heads on Saturday. And they were the most pristine heads. There wasn't any of the imported cabbage moth caterpillars in any of the heads, and they were just perfect looking. I was just blown away about how good these heads were looking. And then the rains came, and then during the middle of all the rains, I couldn't get out here to control the cabbage moth. Now today's Tuesday, and look at these leaves, how the cabbage moth caterpillars have just decimated. And I would go right through here, and right before I gave them a little bit of water, they were just covered in larvae. So one of the things that I do to control the imported cabbage moth, I had a friend, Dusty Goat Homestead was over here this weekend, and he said, what do you do to control the cabbage moth? I said, what I do is probably not talked about very much, but if you get the high yield garden, pet, and livestock dust, first thing I did is see what the active ingredient is. The active ingredient is permethrin, which is naturally derived from the chrysanthemum plant. So this is, it's not certified organic, but it's not poison. It's not 7 dust that's going to harm your body if you accidentally ingest it. It's safe for plants. It's safe for your pets. And what I did is I bought one of these dusters a couple of years ago off Amazon, Dust and Miser, and then I load the hopper up with just a little bit of the dust. Now I'm not going to spray over my entire garden because I'm getting ready to harvest these heads and take them inside and show you how we put them up. But generally what I would do is, see, look at all these cabbage moths that are right here right in the center of that leaf right there. And then there's one right here. Now this is a Watham 129 plant that I had extra and I plugged into the corner. And look how tall this plant is. This plant's over 2 foot tall. The crown is right in the head of it. And the crowns just aren't getting much bigger than that. But it's loaded up with moths. But I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate that when I come out here and this is loaded down with moths, I just give it a quick little dusting like that. That's all it takes, just a fine little dust. And whenever they ingest that permethrin, it's a bacteria that once they ingest it, it shuts down their digestive tract and it doesn't allow them to digest their food, and they starve to death from the inside. And it's not long, you'll come back out here tomorrow and all these caterpillars will be gone. It's amazing how quick it actually works. That's what I do to control these caterpillars. Now I mentioned earlier that I'm going to do a land race variety. I want to hurry up and get this bed and all my other broccoli out of here so that we can start putting other crops in here before the early spring is gone and the summer heat really sets in. I want to get my next crop. But I'm going to take one of my really good producers of heads, and I'm going to let it go to flower and to seed, and then we're going to harvest the seed, but I want it to pollinate within itself. I don't want to incorporate the Watham 129. There's just not anything about those genetics that I like. I want to try to retain whatever it is that this is. Now, I went to my feed store in Atmore, Alabama, to the little co-op store, and they have a guy that he brings in his sets that he raises on his farm, and he sells them to them, and then the local gardeners come over there and they buy those transplants. I don't have the guy's contact information, but I want to try to find out what these are. If I had to guess, I'm thinking maybe emerald broccoli, which is a hybrid variety. And hybrid's okay, as long as I'm in a scenario where I can continue to buy those seeds, or I'm trying to grow my own landrace variety. That's what I really would like to go with, and I'll just keep buying the emerald or whatever these end up being until we get a landrace variety that's doing what I want it to do. And I'd like to get away from the Watham 129 varieties. Come on over here to the other bed, and this is all Watham 129 over here. Now these heads are fully mature. They're not going to get any bigger than this. We're talking about a 4-inch head on that, which I guess if you're using a heritage type broccoli, that's about all you're going to be able to expect. If you look at the blossom nodes, the flower nodes, those are not tight. Those are very loose, very bulky. I just don't like the way they look. They look like they're getting ready to flower and bloom. And I'm just not going to go back and use this variety anymore. It just hasn't worked out for us. I planted these in January when we were right after our hard freeze, to where we were just getting out of the hard freeze season and into just the frost. So our microphones died, and so the next 3 minutes will be voiceover. And this voiceover is inspired by David the Good. So I'm finished with all these broccoli. I can't wait to rip them out. I'm tired of them. I'm sick of them. I'm just ready to just dive in and just rip these things right out. But I'm going to march on over here, and I'm going to talk bad about all these broccolis over here. And I'm going to reach over and I'm going to grab this knife, because I always keep a knife in the garden, just in case these broccolis get out of line and I can show them who's boss. I found a broccoli. He's been misbehaving. Take that, broccoli. Got that broccoli head. Teach you to back talk me. I want to get your little side shoots too. All right, done with that. Now we're going to go over here and we're going to put these broccolis down. And I'm going to go and I'll harvest the next 5 broccolis. I have no idea what I was saying there, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this broccoli head off. Off with your head, broccoli. You too, broccoli. Take that. You'll join the rest of your broccoli heads. See how clean of a cut I made? That broccoli is no longer alive. That's not true. That'll continue to send up side shoots later. We'll take care of him later. Go ahead and take this one off also. Such a little bitty broccoli. That's technically a side shoot. I'm just demonstrating here that the plants will continue to grow side shoots later. All right, we're going to take this last broccoli head off, and then we're going to call it quits. Last broccoli head.
Oh no! Give me that. Look at that pretty tight broccoli.
It's beautiful. Now let's go in.
Don't stab me.
And I want to
No.
show you how to prepare this broccoli.
No, don't cut me. No.
These are just like small trees. With tender loving care, they'll grow up to be big trees. All right, so I got these broccoli heads. We just brought them in. We washed them off in the sink to kind of get off any kind of stuff that may have gotten in the garden. But if you look right here under the florets, you'll see where the florets join into the stems. So if you just take your knife and just sever right where those florets are, and let the florets fall right into the bowl. All right, then you end up with a nice edible floret that you can cook, and it's not too big. So we're gonna go ahead and get this started. We got our water going. We're gonna bring our water up to about 155 degrees. And then we're gonna put these florets in there and we're gonna blanch them for about 3 minutes. We're gonna take them off. We're gonna put them in ice water to cool them down really quick. Then we're gonna put them on a sheet and then get them into the freezer for a flash freeze. So. All right, we got our water up to a temperature. We got our cool down water that we're going to stop the boiling process, blanching process, right here by the stove. And then we're going to go ahead and drop all of our broccoli into the pan. We got a good amount of water in there, so I'm going to go ahead and just put in what I can. All right, so now we've let it blanch. That basically stops all the enzymes in the plant from growing any further. So now we throw it over into the ice water to stop the cooking process so it doesn't cook any further. All right, these are the 5 heads of broccoli we put up Saturday. These are the 5 heads of broccoli we put up tonight. So 10 heads of broccoli in our 5x10 bed will give us enough broccoli to last us through the summer into our fall planting. And as a matter of fact, during our fall planting, we get the right seeds, we're going to be really expanding our broccoli harvest and go just a little bit bigger. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us along as we bring this content to you. And don't forget, keep growing, keep building, and always keep adventuring. And together, we're Flemington Famous.